The giant ship floated in the dark space near Jupiter. It was bigger than any human had ever built. Strange lights blinked along its smooth surface. Inside the ship, creatures that looked nothing like humans worked at control panels that glowed. With soft blue light, Dr. Zethkar stood in front of a large screen showing planet Earth. His forearms moved quickly over the controls. His skin was green and covered with small scales that caught the light. Two large eyes sat on the sides of his head, and they could see things humans never could. "The signals are getting stronger," he said to his team. His voice made a musical sound that the ship's computers changed into words the other aliens could understand. Captain Velther walked over to look at the screen. She was tall and thin, with long fingers that ended in soft pads. Her people had stopped fighting wars over 1,000 years ago. "What kind of signals are they sending?" "Many different types," Dr. Zethkar replied. "But most of them seem to be about fighting. They show images of explosions, weapons, and creatures hurting each other. It is very strange." The alien ship belonged to the Galactic Federation. 7 different alien races worked together to keep peace in their part of space. They had been watching Earth for many months now. The humans had just learned how to send radio signals into space, which meant they might be ready to meet other intelligent life. On the other side of space, near Earth's moon, another ship waited. In the darkness, this one was much smaller and made of metal that looked rough and battle-ready. Strange marks covered its surface where weapons had hit it in past fights. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the New Horizon. He was a big man with short brown hair and scars on his hands from years of military service. His ship was Earth's first real attempt to explore beyond their solar system. "Sir, we're picking up something big on our sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. She was young, but had already proven herself in 3 different wars on Earth. Her fingers moved fast over the weapon controls without her thinking about it. "How big?" Jake asked. His hand moved to the red button that would activate their defense systems. "Bigger than anything we've ever seen. It's not moving toward us, but it's definitely not one of ours." Jake looked at the main screen. A small dot showed where the alien ship waited. "Battle stations. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have contact." The crew of the New Horizon moved quickly to their positions. Every person on the ship knew how to fight. Even the scientists carried weapons and knew how to use them. This was normal for humans, though they did not know how strange this was compared to other species in the galaxy. Back on the alien ship, Dr. Zethkar watched his instruments with growing confusion. "They are preparing for battle," he told Captain Velther. "All of their weapons are now active. But we have not made any threatening moves," Velther said. "We have not even spoken to them yet." "Perhaps they are afraid because we are unknown to them," suggested Dr. Lixandra. She was smaller than the others, with skin that changed colors based on her emotions. Right now, it was showing the blue-green pattern that meant she was curious. "Fear would be normal," agreed Dr. Zethkar. "But this is different. They are not running away or hiding. They are getting ready to attack something much larger than themselves. This makes no sense." Captain Velther decided it was time to make contact. She had done this many times before with other young species. It always went the same way. First, there was fear, then wonder, then excitement about joining the larger galactic community. "Send them our standard peaceful greeting," she ordered. The message went out in simple mathematical patterns that any intelligent species should be able to understand. It said that they came in peace and wanted to talk. On the New Horizon, the communications officer picked up the alien message. "Captain, we're receiving some kind of transmission. It's not like anything in our databases." "Could be a trick," said Amy Rodriguez. Maybe they're trying to confuse our systems before they attack. Jake nodded. This made sense to him. In every war he had fought, the enemy always tried tricks first. Keep our shields up. Try to decode their message, but be ready for anything. The human ship slowly moved closer to the alien vessel. Every step was careful and planned like a military operation. Jake had his best people watching for signs of attack. His weapons officer kept the targeting systems locked on the alien ship's largest sections. When the two ships were close enough to get a good look at each other, both crews were surprised by what they saw. The aliens looked at the human ship and saw something that confused them. It was covered with weapon ports and armor plating. Strange spikes stuck out from its surface. Everything about it looked designed for fighting, even though the humans claimed to be explorers. The humans looked at the alien ship and saw something that made no sense to them. It had no visible weapons. Its surface was smooth and covered with what looked like art instead of armor. Large windows showed brightly lit rooms where aliens moved around without any fear. "Sir," Amy reported, "I can't find any weapons on that ship. Either they're hidden really well, or these aliens don't have any." "That's impossible," Jake replied. "Every ship needs weapons. Maybe they're just better at hiding them than we are." Doctor Zefkar was having similar thoughts about the human ship. Why do they have so many weapons for an exploration mission? He asked his team, and look at their crew. They all move like soldiers. Captain Velther tried to start a proper conversation. She sent a new message with pictures, showing her people's peaceful history and their desire to help young species learn about the galaxy. The humans received the message and studied it carefully. But instead of seeing an offer of friendship, they saw something else entirely. "Look at this," Amy said, pointing at images of alien cities. No walls, no defenses, no military bases. Either these aliens are lying to us, or they're the weakest species we've ever seen. "Could be a test," Jake said. "Maybe they want to see if we'll let our guard down." The first real conversation between humans and aliens began an hour later. Captain Velther spoke through the ship's translation system while Jake and his officers listened carefully. "Greetings, people of Earth," Velther said. "We are peaceful explorers from the Galactic Federation. We come to welcome you to the community of intelligent species." "We appreciate the welcome," Jake replied. "But we need to establish some ground rules first. What are the territorial boundaries in this system? Which areas are under your military control?" Velther paused. This was not the usual response she received. "We do not control territory through military force. The Federation works together through cooperation and mutual aid. But who enforces the peace?" Amy asked. "What happens if someone breaks your rules?" "We talk about problems and find solutions that work for everyone," Velther explained. The humans looked at each other. This seemed impossible. Every group of people they had ever known needed some kind of police or military to keep order. "What about your enemies?" Jake asked. "How do you defend against other alien species that might want to attack you?" "We have no enemies," Dr. Zefkar said, joining the conversation. "All intelligent species in this region are members of the Federation. We have had peace for over 3,000 years. The humans found this very hard to believe. In their entire history, the longest peace had lasted less than 100 years. Even then, different groups had been preparing for the next war. As the conversation continued, both sides became more confused. The aliens could not understand why the humans saw everything in terms of conflict and military advantage. The humans could not understand how any civilization could survive without strong defenses and clear chains of command. Dr. Zefkar began taking notes about human behavior. Everything they said seemed to come back to questions about war, weapons, and territorial control. Even when talking about art or science, They wanted to know how these things could be used in combat. The meeting lasted several hours. By the end, both groups had agreed to continue talking, but each side had very different ideas about what they had learned. The aliens thought they had met a young species that was very worried about safety. They planned to help the humans learn that the galaxy was a peaceful place, where such fears were not needed. The humans thought they had met a group of aliens who were either very naive about the dangers of space, or very good at pretending to be weak. They planned to be very careful about what information they shared. As the two ships separated, Dr. Zethkar sat alone in his laboratory, thinking about the strange new species they had discovered. Something about the humans bothered him, but he could not figure out what it was. On the new horizon, Jake called a meeting of his senior officers. They needed to plan for whatever came next. Neither group realized that this first meeting had started a chain of events that would change everything they thought they knew about life in the galaxy. Dr. Zethkar could not sleep. For 3 days since the meeting with the humans, he had been thinking about their strange behavior. He sat in his laboratory, surrounded by screens showing data about Earth and its people. Computer, show me the biological. Scans from the human ship, he said. The screens filled with information about human bodies. Zethkar had studied hundreds of different species, but he had never seen anything like this. Human bones were much thicker than they needed to be. Their muscles were designed for power, not efficiency. Even their teeth were shaped for tearing. Flesh, not just eating plants. Dr. Lixandra entered the laboratory. Her skin was showing orange patterns, which meant she was worried. The Federation Science Council wants to see you, she said. They have questions about your report. An hour later, Zethkar stood before the Council's main screen. 7 different alien faces looked back at him. Elder Korthmal, the oldest member of the Council, spoke first. Dr. Zethkar, your report about the humans is very concerning. You say they think only about war and fighting. This seems impossible. I know it sounds strange, Zethkar replied, but I have recordings of our entire conversation. They asked about military boundaries, defense systems, and territorial control. They wanted to know about our enemies and how we fight wars. Perhaps they have just finished a war on their own planet, suggested Council Member Tyrix. Young species sometimes need time to learn peaceful ways. I thought the same thing, Zethkar sighed. So I studied their radio signals and television broadcasts. Elder Korthmal, they have never stopped fighting. Their entire history is one war after another. Even their entertainment is full of violence and combat. The council members looked at each other. This was unlike any species they had ever encountered. I request permission to do a full biological study, Zethkar continued. Something about human genetics does not seem natural. I want to understand why they are so different from other intelligent species. Elder Korthmal thought for a moment. Permission granted, but be careful. Do not let them know what you are doing. If they are as dangerous as they seem, we do not want to give them a reason to attack us. Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Ryan Phillips sat in a secret military base deep underground. Around him, dozens of scientists and soldiers worked at computers, trying to understand the alien threat. What do we know about their weapons? Ryan asked. Dr. Lisa Morgan, the team's chief scientist, looked up from her computer. That's the problem, sir. We can't find any. Either they're using technology we don't understand, or they really don't have weapons. Every advanced species has weapons, said Sergeant Danny Clark. He was cleaning his rifle while he talked, a habit he had developed during years of combat. Maybe they're so advanced that their whole ship is a weapon. Ryan nodded. This made sense to him. Throughout human history, the most dangerous enemies were often the ones who looked harmless at first. Keep studying their ship design, he ordered, and start working on countermeasures. If they can build ships that big, they probably have weapons we've never imagined. Back in space, Dr. Sethkar began his secret investigation. He used long-range scanners to study human biology from a distance. What he found made him even more confused. Human DNA was unlike anything in the Federation's databases. Most intelligent species had evolved slowly over millions of years. Their genetic code showed clear patterns of natural development. But human genetics looked different. There were sections that did not match the rest, as if someone had added new parts to an existing design. Dr. Lixandra, look at this. Zethkar called his partner over to his screen. Human genetic structure has artificial markers. Lixandra? Skin turned bright yellow with shock. That's impossible. Natural evolution does not create patterns like this. Exactly. But if humans were changed by someone else, who did it? And why? The two scientists worked for days, comparing human DNA to every species in their records. They found small similarities to many different creatures, but never a complete match. It was as if someone had taken the best fighting traits from dozens of species and combined them into one creature. Their reaction time is 3 times faster than ours, Lixandra observed. Their bone density would let them survive impacts that would kill most species. And look at their brain chemistry. Zethkar studied the brain scans. Elevated levels of adrenaline and testosterone, reduced levels of serotonin and dopamine. This combination would make them naturally aggressive and competitive, but also loyal to their group and willing to sacrifice for others, Lixandra added. It's like someone designed the perfect soldier. On Earth, similar discoveries were being made from the other direction. Dr. Carl Peterson had been chosen to work with the aliens on scientific exchanges. He was supposed to learn about alien technology, but he had become more interested in studying the aliens themselves. Their bone structure is so light, he told his research partner, Dr. Michelle Garcia. They could never survive the kind of injuries that humans deal with every day. Michelle looked at the scans they had taken of alien biology. Their muscles are designed for fine motor control, not strength. And look at their brain chemistry. Very high levels of chemicals that promote cooperation and reduce aggression. It's like they evolved on a planet with no predators, Carl said. No wonder they seem so peaceful. They've probably never had to fight for survival. What Carl and Michelle did not know was that their own biological data was being studied just as carefully by the aliens. Every scan they shared, every blood sample they provided for medical research, was being analyzed by Dr. Zethkar and his team. The breakthrough came when Dr. Zethkar decided to search the Federation's historical archives. Most species kept records going back thousands of years. Somewhere in those records might be a clue about human origins. He found what he was looking for in a restricted file that required special permission to access. The file was labeled Vorthak Empire, classified. Computer, tell me about the Vorthak Empire, Zethkar requested. The Vorthak Empire existed approximately 5,000 years ago. They were a militaristic species that conquered much of this galactic region through superior weapons and biological warfare. They disappeared suddenly, leaving behind only ruins and abandoned research facilities. Zethkar felt his 2 hearts begin beating faster. What kind of biological warfare? Records indicate the Vorthak were experts at genetic manipulation. They created modified versions of existing species for use as soldiers and workers. Many of their experiments were considered too dangerous and were destroyed when the Empire fell. Show me genetic samples from Vorthak research sites. The computer displayed several DNA patterns recovered from ancient laboratories. Zethkar compared them to human genetics and felt his world change forever. The match was perfect. Humans were not a naturally evolved species. They were weapons, created by the Vorthak Empire, and somehow left behind when that civilization disappeared. Dr. Lixandra found him an hour later, sitting in the dark staring at the computer screen. "Zethkar, what's wrong?" "Your skin is showing distress patterns." "Lixandra, we need to contact the Federation Council immediately." "I know what humans are." "What do you mean?" Zethkar turned to face his friend. "They're not a natural species. They're weapons. Living weapons created by the Vorthak Empire 5,000 years ago." Lixandra's skin went completely white. "But the Vorthak disappeared. How could their weapons still exist?" "I don't know, but think about what we've observed. Humans are designed for combat. Their entire psychology is built around conflict and competition. They can't maintain peace for more than a few years at a time. They're constantly developing new ways to fight and kill. You think the Vorthak created them as soldiers? More than that. I think they created them as the ultimate soldiers. Look at human capabilities. They're stronger, faster, and more aggressive than any natural species. But they're also intelligent and capable of working together when they need to. The implications were terrifying. If humans were Vorthak weapons, what was their purpose? The Vorthak had disappeared before they could use their final creations. But now those weapons had developed their own civilization and learned to build spaceships. "We have to tell the Council," Lixandra said. "I know, but first, I want to understand more. If humans were designed as weapons, they must have been designed to fight someone. Who was the target?" Zethkar began searching through more historical records. The Vorthak had been very secretive about their final projects. Most of their research was destroyed when their empire collapsed. But some fragments remained. One file made his blood freeze. It was titled Project Final Solution: Counter-Federation Forces. The Vorthak had created humans specifically to fight the Galactic Federation. Everything made sense now. Humans were designed to be everything the Federation species were not. Where Federation species were peaceful, humans were aggressive. Where Federation species were cooperative, humans were competitive. Where Federation species had evolved for harmony, humans had been engineered for war. Lixandra were in danger. Humans weren't just created as weapons. They were created as weapons designed specifically to destroy us. On Earth, Colonel Ryan Phillips was reaching his own conclusions about the aliens. His team had been studying alien behavior and technology for weeks. "Sir, I think thus." The Federation Council Emergency. Meeting began at dawn on the capital world of Harmony, Prime. 7 species that had lived in peace for thousands of years now faced their greatest crisis. Dr. Zethkar stood before the massive assembly hall. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy had gathered to hear his report. His hands shook as he activated the presentation screen. "Honored council members," he began, "what I am about to tell you will change everything we believe about peace and safety in our galaxy." Elder Korthmo leaned forward in his chair. "Present your findings, Dr. Zethkar." Humans are not a naturally evolved species. They are biological weapons created by the Vorthak Empire 5,000 years ago. The hall erupted in shocked gasps and worried chatter. Furthermore, they were specifically designed to fight and destroy the Galactic Federation. The evidence flashed across the huge screens. DNA comparisons, historical records, and behavioral analysis all pointed to the same terrible conclusion. Humans were living weapons, programmed for war and conquest. Fleet Admiral Grixner, the Federation's top military commander, stood up. His species had not fought a real war in over 2,000 years, but they still remembered how. "Dr. Zethkar, are you saying that humans pose an immediate threat to Federation worlds?" "I believe they do, Admiral. Every aspect of their biology and psychology is designed for combat. They cannot maintain peace on their own world for more than a few decades. They see every interaction as a potential conflict. And now they have spacecraft and weapons. Council member Tyrix, whose people had been the first to join the Federation, asked the question everyone was thinking. But why are they active now? The Vorthak disappeared 5,000 years ago. Dr. Lixandra stepped forward to answer. We believe the humans were stored or hidden somehow, perhaps in suspended animation, or maybe as genetic templates that were activated later. The important thing is that they are here now, and they are exactly what the Vorthak designed them to be. On Earth, a similar meeting was taking place in the Pentagon's deepest bunker. General Patricia Hayes, the highest-ranking military officer in the world, listened as Colonel Ryan Phillips presented his analysis of the alien threat. Ma'am, these aliens have technology that's centuries ahead of ours, Ryan reported. But they seem to have no military experience at all. Their ships have no weapons, their crews have no combat training, and they don't understand basic military concepts. General Hayes studied the reports on her desk. She was a career soldier who had fought in conflicts on every continent. Her strategic mind immediately saw the implications. Colonel, are you suggesting that these aliens are defenseless? Not defenseless, ma'am, but they seem to have no experience with warfare. They've been living in peace for so long that they've forgotten how to fight. Colonel Ben Turner, the head of military intelligence, added his own assessment. General, if these aliens control advanced technology across multiple star systems, and they can't defend themselves, this represents the greatest opportunity in human history. General Hayes nodded slowly. Throughout human history, every time a militarily superior culture met a peaceful one, the result was always the same. The warriors won. What about their numbers? She asked. Unknown, ma'am. But their federation includes 7 different species across dozens of worlds. Even if they're individually weak, they might have strength in numbers. Major Kate Sullivan, the Pentagon's top strategic planner, had been quietly analyzing the data. General, I think we need to consider the possibility that this is some kind of test. Maybe they're not as peaceful as they seem. Explain. Ma'am, no species could survive long enough to develop advanced technology without some ability to defend itself. Either these aliens are hiding their military capabilities, or they have some other form of protection we don't understand. General Hayes appreciated Kate's caution, but her instincts told her that the aliens were exactly what they appeared to be, a peaceful civilization that had forgotten how to fight. Colonel Phillips, I want you to prepare 3 different plans. First, a defensive strategy, assuming the aliens are hostile and hiding their true capabilities. Second, an offensive strategy assuming they're as weak as they appear. Third, a diplomatic approach that keeps our options open. Back on the alien ship, Dr. Zethkar was making a discovery that would make the situation even more complicated. He had been studying human history and culture, trying to understand how the Vorthak weapons had developed over 5,000 years. Lixandra, look at this, he called to his partner. Human mythology and religion consistently reference sky, gods, and genetic manipulation. The screens showed ancient human artwork and stories from around the world. Cave paintings depicted strange beings changing primitive humans. Religious texts described gods who created humans in their own image. Legends spoke of star visitors who gave humans knowledge and power. It's like they have cultural memories of their creation, Lixandra observed, but they don't understand what the memories mean. More importantly, look at this pattern. Zethkar highlighted sections of human history. Every few hundred years, humans make a great leap forward in military technology. Bronze weapons, iron tools, gunpowder, nuclear energy, spaceflight. Each advancement focuses on warfare first, peaceful uses second. You think their programming includes technological triggers? I think the Vorthak designed them to develop weapons technology automatically. Humans can't help but create better ways to fight. It's built into their genetic code. This discovery made the situation much worse. Not only were humans living weapons, but they were weapons that became more dangerous over time. Left alone, they would eventually develop technology that could threaten the entire galaxy. Dr. Zethkar sent an urgent message to the Federation Council. We cannot wait to see what humans do next. Every day they grow stronger and more dangerous. We must act now, while we still can. On Earth, Dr. Carl Peterson was making his own disturbing discoveries. His work with alien biology had led him to examine human genetics more closely. What he found challenged everything he thought he knew about his own species. Michel, come look at this, he called to Dr. Michel Garcia. I've been comparing human DNA to other Earth species, and something doesn't match. Michel studied the genetic charts on Carl's computer. What am I looking at? Human evolution. According to these patterns, we should have evolved slowly over millions of years. But look at these sections of our DNA. They're completely different from anything else on Earth. What does that mean? Carl's voice was quiet and worried. I think it means we're not from Earth, or at least we weren't always like this. Someone or something changed us. The implications hit Michel like a physical blow. You're saying humans were genetically modified? I'm saying humans were genetically created. We didn't evolve naturally. We were designed. As word of Carl's discovery spread through the scientific community, it reached the ears of military intelligence. Within hours, Dr. Peterson and Dr. Garcia were sitting in a secure government facility, explaining their findings to Colonel Ryan Phillips. Doctor, are you telling me that humans are some kind of alien creation? Ryan asked. The evidence strongly suggests it, Carl replied. Our genetic structure shows clear signs of artificial manipulation. We're stronger, faster, and more aggressive than we should be based on natural evolution. More aggressive? Michel answered this time. Colonel, human brain chemistry produces levels of aggression hormones that would be considered dangerous in most other species. We're literally wired for conflict. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying we were designed to be soldiers? We were designed to be weapons, Carl said quietly. The meeting that followed involved the highest levels of government and military command. President Nancy Evans listened as her advisors explained that humanity might be the product of alien genetic engineering. Mr. President, General Hayes said, if this is true, it changes everything about our contact with the aliens. We're not just meeting another species. We might be meeting our creators. Secretary of Defense Robert Chun had a different concern. Or we might be meeting the enemies our creators designed us to fight. The debate continued for hours. Were the Federation aliens humanity's creators? Or were they the target humans had been designed to destroy? The answer would determine whether Earth should prepare for reunion or war. Dr. Zethkar was asking himself the same questions. His research had revealed that humans were Vorthak weapons, but many details remained unclear. How had humans survived? When the Vorthak Empire fell? Why had they been left alone for 5,000 years? And most importantly, were they still following their original programming? Lixandra, I want to run a behavioral prediction model, he said. Input human psychology patterns and current technological level. Show me what they're likely to do. Next, the computer processed thousands of data points about human behavior, history, and current capabilities. The results appeared on screen in bright red text. Probability of human military expansion, 97.3%. Probability of peaceful coexistence, 2.7%. Estimated time before first aggressive action, 6.2 months. Run it again with different parameters, Zethkar requested, hoping the computer had made an error. The second analysis was even worse. Probability of human attempt to conquer Federation territory, 94.8. The news leaked at the worst possible time. A junior scientist on Dr. Zithkar's team accidentally sent a research file to the wrong computer network. Within hours, the truth about humanity's origins was spreading across Federation worlds faster than anyone could stop it. Dr. Carl Peterson was in his laboratory when his computer received an urgent message from his alien contact. The message was from Dr. Lixandra, and it contained information that made his blood run cold. "Carl," the message read, "you need to know the truth about your species. We have discovered that humans were created as biological weapons by an ancient enemy of our Federation. Your people are in great danger. Our military is preparing to defend against what they believe is an inevitable human attack." Carl read the message 3 times before its meaning sank in. He immediately called Dr. Michelle Garcia. "Michelle, you need to get to my lab right now. And don't tell anyone where you're going." When Michelle arrived, Carl showed her the alien message and the genetic analysis that came with it. The evidence was overwhelming. Humans had been designed by the Vorthak Empire as the ultimate soldiers, specifically created to destroy the peaceful Federation. "This explains everything," Michelle said quietly. "Why we're so different from other Earth species. Why we can't stop fighting wars. Why our first response to meeting aliens was to prepare for battle. Michelle, if this information gets out, it will cause panic. People will think we're programmed killers with no free will." But it was already too late. On the other side of the galaxy, panic was spreading through Federation worlds as citizens learned about the human weapon species. News broadcasts showed images of Earth's military preparations and human history filled with endless wars. On the Federation capital world, riots broke out as different species blamed each other for failing to detect the threat sooner. Some demanded immediate military action against Earth, while others insisted on trying diplomatic solutions. Commander Steve Roberts was aboard the International Space Station when Earth's communication networks exploded with leaked information about humanity's true origins. The station's crew watched in horror as news reports showed mass protests in major cities around the world. "Sir, we're getting reports of military mobilization on all continents," reported Dr. Lara Kim from the station's science module. "It looks like every major power is preparing for war." Steve had served in the military for 15 years before becoming an astronaut. He understood how quickly fear could turn into violence. "Get me a direct line to General Hayes at the Pentagon." The call took 20 minutes to connect through secure channels. When General Hayes appeared on screen, her face showed the strain of the crisis. "Commander Roberts, I'm glad you called. We need eyes in space right now. Are you detecting any unusual alien activity?" "No, ma'am." "But General, I have to ask, is it true what they're saying about us being designed as weapons?" General Hayes paused before answering. "The evidence suggests that our species was genetically modified in the distant past. Whether that makes us weapons depends on what we choose to do with that knowledge." Back on the alien research ship, Dr. Zithkar watched Federation military vessels gathering near the edge of human space. Fleet Admiral Grixnor had assembled the largest military force in Federation history. Ships from all 7 member species formed a defensive line designed to contain the human threat. "Lixandra, we have to do something," Zethkar said. "This is going to end in a war that destroys both civilizations. What can we do?" The Council has made their decision. They believe humans are too dangerous to be allowed to develop further. But we don't know if humans are still following their original programming. 5,000 years is a long time. Maybe they've changed. Dr. Lixandra's skin showed the deep blue patterns of sadness. "Look at their history, Zethkar. They've been fighting constant wars for their entire recorded existence. How could they have changed?" On Earth, similar arguments were taking place in government buildings around the world. President Nancy Evans had called an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. Representatives from every major nation gathered to decide humanity's response to the alien threat. Ladies and gentlemen, President Evans began, we face a crisis unlike any in human history. We have learned that our species may have been artificially created and that the aliens we've made contact with view us as a threat to their civilization. The Russian representative, General Anthony White, spoke first. Madam President, if we were designed as weapons, then we should use our advantages. These aliens are peaceful and unprepared for war. We could conquer their territory and take their technology. That's exactly the kind of thinking that proves their point about us, argued the German representative, Dr. Helen Davis. If we attack them, we'll be fulfilling our supposed programming as weapons. The Chinese delegate, Admiral Grace Thompson, had a different perspective. The question isn't whether we attack them. The question is whether they'll attack us first. If they believe we're weapons designed to destroy them, they won't wait to see what we do. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was predictable. Fear and military thinking dominated the discussion. By the end of the session, most representatives agreed that Earth needed to prepare for war. Whether they started it or not, Dr. Carl Peterson watched the UN session on television from his laboratory. The scientific community was in chaos as researchers tried to understand the implications of humanity's artificial origins. They're all missing the point, he told Michel Garcia. It doesn't matter if we were designed as weapons. What matters is what we choose to be now. But Carl, look at how we're reacting to this crisis. The first thing every government did was prepare for war. Maybe we can't overcome our programming. Carl had been thinking about this problem for days. Michel, I have an idea, but it's dangerous, and it might be considered treason. What kind of idea? What if we could prove to the aliens that humans are capable of choosing peace over war? What if we could show them that we've evolved beyond our original programming? Before Michel could answer, their laboratory door burst open. Military police surrounded them, led by Colonel Ryan Phillips. Dr. Peterson, Dr. Garcia, you're under arrest for unauthorized communication with hostile alien forces, Ryan announced. Colonel, we're trying to prevent a war, Carl protested. Doctor, you're sharing classified information with enemies of the human race. That's treason. As the scientists were led away in handcuffs, Carl realized that humanity was indeed following its programming. Fear and suspicion were driving them toward the very conflict they had been designed to fight. On the Federation flagship, Fleet Admiral Grixner studied tactical displays showing human military positions. His species had been warriors once, before joining the Federation. Unlike the other member species, they remembered how to fight. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, human forces are gathering near their moon. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for an offensive action. Grixner had hoped the humans would see reason and choose peaceful coexistence. But everything his analysts had predicted was coming true. The weapons were activating, following programming that was older than Federation civilization. Send a message to the human leadership, he ordered. Tell them we know what they are, and we're prepared to defend ourselves. The message reached Earth within hours. General Hayes read it in her command bunker, surrounded by screens showing military positions around the world. Ma'am, it's an ultimatum, Colonel Ben Turner reported. They're demanding that we withdraw all military forces and submit to Federation oversight. They want us to surrender without fighting, General Hayes said. That's not going to happen. Major, Kate Sullivan had been studying alien ship movements. General, their fleet is massive, but their positioning suggests they're planning a defensive action, not an attack. Maybe they're waiting for us to make the first move, General Hayes replied. Or maybe they're trying to lure us into a trap. The General's military instincts told her that the aliens were preparing for battle, regardless of their peaceful reputation. Every tactical analysis suggested that waiting would only give the enemy time to prepare stronger defenses. Kate, I want you to prepare Operation First Strike. If we're going to fight these aliens, we need to hit them before they're ready. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison had been recalled to Earth and placed in command of humanity's first interstellar battle fleet. His ship, the New Horizon, had been refitted with every weapon Earth could produce. Sir, the fleet is ready, reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. 12 ships armed with nuclear weapons, plasma cannons, and experimental energy shields. Jake looked at the tactical display showing alien positions. Part of him felt excited about the coming battle. It would be the greatest military challenge in human history. But another part of him wondered if they were making a terrible mistake. Amy, do you ever think about what we're doing? We're about to start a war with beings who've been peaceful for thousands of years. Sir, if they're peaceful, why are they? Gathering a military fleet? And if we really were designed as weapons, maybe this war is inevitable. The two fleets faced each other in the darkness of space. On one side, the Federation's peaceful ships hastily converted for war. On the other side, humanity's battle-ready vessels designed for destruction. Both sides waited for the other to make the first move. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the alien fleet on his main screen. 12 human ships against over 50 alien vessels. The odds were bad, but humans had won against worse odds before. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. It's coming from the lead alien ship. Put it on screen. Fleet Admiral Grixner appeared on the display. His alien features were hard to read, but his posture suggested he was ready for battle. Human Commander, I am Admiral Grixner of the Galactic Federation. We know what you are and why you were created. We will not allow you to destroy our civilization as you were programmed to do. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. Admiral, we didn't choose to be created as weapons. But we did choose to explore space and seek peaceful contact with other species. Your entire history proves otherwise. You have never known peace. You cannot help but fight and conquer. It is what you were designed to do. Maybe that's true, Jake replied. But just because we were designed for war doesn't mean we have to choose. War. Admiral Grixner's expression showed surprise. He had not expected a human to acknowledge their programming while also claiming to reject it. Then prove your words with actions. Withdraw your fleet and submit to Federation monitoring. Show us that you can choose peace over conquest. Jake felt the familiar surge of battle instincts. Every part of his military training told him that retreat was surrender, and surrender was death. But he also felt something else. A desire to prove that humans could be more than their programming. Admiral, I'll make you a deal. We'll withdraw our fleet if you withdraw yours. We'll prove we can choose peace, but we won't do it by surrendering. Before Admiral Grixner could respond, alarms began blaring on both fleets. Long-range sensors had detected something massive approaching from deep space. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez stared at her instruments in shock. Sir, we're detecting a huge object approaching fast. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen. On the Federation flagship, similar readings were causing panic among the crew. Dr. Zethkar, who had been brought aboard to advise on human psychology, recognized the energy signature immediately. Admiral, that's a Vorthax ship. Somehow, they've returned. The massive vessel emerged from hyperspace between the two fleets. It was ancient and scarred, but its weapon systems were clearly active. As it approached, it began broadcasting a message in a language that had been dead for 5,000 years. Dr. Zethkar's translation. Equipment struggled to decode the ancient words. It's saying ... final protocol activated. Weapon species will complete their mission. Federation will be destroyed. Captain Jake Morrison felt something strange happening in his mind. The Vorthak ship was sending some kind of signal directly to human brains. Around him, his crew began acting differently. Their movements became more aggressive, their expressions harder. "Sir," Amy Rodriguez said, but her voice sounded wrong, cold and mechanical. "We should attack the Federation fleet immediately. It is our purpose." Jake fought against the compulsion filling his mind. The Vorthak ship was activating programming that had been dormant in human genetics for 5,000 years. All around him, his crew was losing their free will to ancient commands. "Amy, fight it. You're stronger than their programming." But Amy wasn't listening. She was already moving to the weapons console, her hands working automatically to target. Federation ships dot on the Federation flagship. Admiral Grixner watched in horror as the human fleet began powering up their weapons. They're activating their attack systems. All ships, prepare for battle. Dr. Zethkar saw what was happening. "Admiral, wait. The humans are being controlled by the Vorthak ship. This isn't their choice. It doesn't matter. If they attack, we'll have to defend ourselves." But Jake Morrison wasn't ready to give up. His free will. He had spent his entire life making choices, and he wasn't going to let some ancient programming take that away from him. With tremendous effort, he grabbed Amy's hands and pulled them away from the weapons console. "Amy, listen to me. You're Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. You joined the military to protect people, not to conquer them. Remember who you are." Amy's eyes flickered with confusion. The programming was strong, but Jake's words reached something deeper. "Sir, I can't control my hands. They want to fire weapons. Then don't let them. Choose to be human, not a weapon." Across the human fleet, similar struggles were taking place. The Vorthak programming was trying to turn every human into an obedient soldier. But 5,000 years of human development had created something the ancient aliens hadn't expected: the ability to choose their own path. Commander Steve Roberts, watching from the space station, saw what was happening. "Lavra, broadcast this message to all human ships. You are not weapons. You are explorers, scientists, soldiers, and dreamers. You have the power to choose your own destiny." The message reached Captain Jake Morrison's ship just as the Vorthak programming reached its peak intensity. Jake felt his own hands moving toward the weapons controls, but he heard Steve's words and found the strength to resist. "All hands, this is Captain Morrison. We are under attack by some kind of mind control, but we are still human. We still have choices. Choose to be the people you want to be, not the weapons someone else designed." His words spread through the human fleet, giving other people the strength to fight against their programming. One by one, human ships began powering down their weapons instead of attacking the Federation. Admiral Grixner couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Dr. Zethkar, the humans are resisting their programming. How is this possible?" "Because they're not just weapons anymore," Zethkar replied. 5,000 years of human development has created something new. They have the biological capabilities of ultimate soldiers, but they also have the wisdom to choose when not to use those capabilities. The Vorthak ship seemed to realize that its programming was failing. It began charging its own weapons, preparing to destroy both fleets if the humans wouldn't follow their orders. Captain Jake Morrison saw the alien ship's weapons powering up. His military instincts told him this was the real enemy, not the Federation. All human ships, target that ancient vessel. It's trying to control us and destroy our new allies. The human fleet turned their weapons toward the Vorthak ship. But Admiral Grixner realized that his own ships were also in danger from the ancient weapon. All Federation ships assist the human fleet. Our enemy is not the humans. Our enemy is the civilization that created them. For the first time in galactic history, human and Federation ships fought side by side. The battle was fierce but brief. The ancient Vorthak ship was powerful, but it was alone against two entire fleets working together. When the ancient vessel finally exploded, Captain Jake Morrison felt a weight lift from his mind. The programming that had tried to control him was gone forever. Admiral Grixner, this is Captain Morrison. I think we need to talk. The meeting that followed took place aboard a neutral research station. Representatives from both fleets gathered to discuss what had happened and what it meant for the future. Dr. Zithkar presented his final analysis. The Vorthak created humans as the ultimate soldiers, but they underestimated the power of choice and free will. After 5,000 years of development, humans have become something new. Warriors who can choose when to fight and when to make peace. General Patricia Hayes, who had arrived with reinforcements from Earth, spoke for humanity. We can't change what we were designed to be. We are stronger, faster, and more aggressive than most species. But we can choose how to use those abilities. Admiral Grixner had seen humans resist their own programming to save their former enemies. The Federation needs protectors. Our peaceful nature makes us vulnerable to threats like the Vorthak. Perhaps humans could serve as guardians for our civilization. Captain Jake Morrison stood up to address both groups. I propose we form a new organization, the Guardian Corps. Humans will use their enhanced abilities to protect peaceful species from threats that diplomacy can't handle. The idea was revolutionary. For the first time, the galaxy would have a military force dedicated to protecting peace rather than conquering territory. Dr. Carl Peterson, who had been released from prison when the truth about the Vorthak emerged, added his thoughts. This partnership could be the beginning of something amazing. Humans provide the strength to defend against threats, while Federation species provide the wisdom to know when force is necessary. The Guardian Corps was established 3 months later. Captain Jake Morrison was chosen as its first commander, with Admiral Grixner serving as strategic advisor. The organization's mission was simple: protect peaceful civilizations from those who would destroy them. The first Guardian mission took place 6 months after the Vorthak attack. Pirates had been attacking trade routes in a distant sector, and local authorities couldn't stop them. A joint human federation task force ended the threat in less than a week. Dr. Zethkar wrote in his final report. Humans were indeed designed as ultimate weapons by the Vorthak Empire, but they have chosen to become something